to our next prospect here. Very interesting one, long-armed.
Hell yeah.
We got Blake Wesley out of Notre Dame. First of all, my first note here, Harrison, can you name, there's only 2 players from Notre Dame currently in the NBA. Can you name anyone? It's not a school, especially guards. You don't get a lot of guards.
I think I can name both of them, Adam.
If you pull this off, it's going to be impressive. Let's hear it.
Number 1, Jerian Grant.
Nope. I don't think he's in the league.
Oh, is he not in the league? Okay. Well, then Pat Connaughton.
Yeah, you got him. The other one, I'll give you a hint. He was a Nugget last year. This time.
The Nugget last year.
Matt Ryan.
My God. How did I miss that? Well, he did not graduate from Notre Dame, so I don't know if that counts.
Yeah, so then maybe it doesn't count. But nonetheless, there's not a lot of guards from Notre Dame. Like, that's not a pipeline of NBA talent. Notre Dame.
Is Jerian Grant really not in the NBA anymore? He's not. Damn.
So tough break. All right, but Blake Wesley, what can you tell us about him?
Blake Wesley, 6'4" with a 6'9" wingspan. He's a pick and roll point guard. He's really crafty, just a floor general in the pick and roll. Just finished up his freshman year at Notre Dame. His strengths, his feel for the game, his ball handling, and his playmaking. And like I said, you really see that in the pick and roll. He's just really crafty. He can hit the big on the roll. He can hit shooters that are being helped off of. He's got great head fakes and misdirection in the pick and roll. He does a really good job at manipulating the defense and freeing up looks for himself and his teammates. Just a great feel, great pace in that action. Like, that's really important, if you're going to be a point guard in the NBA, to be really comfortable and versed in the pick and roll. And kind of out of that, you see other parts of his game that you like. His mid-range jumper looks really good. Great balance. Great shot. He's a threat to get into that shot really quickly, just pulling up out of the pick and roll. Really good body control on all his shots. He can beat bigger bigs on switches. He can just, if he has a mismatch, take that guy to the rim and finish. He only shot 30% from 3 and 65.7% from the line. I thought his shot looked pretty good, though. I feel somewhat confident that he's going to be a decent shooter in the pros. And
Me
then,
too.
like you guys were talking about, that 6'9" wingspan, it looks longer than 6'9". Some places had it listed at 6'11", but he did measure. Too. He did measure at the combine at 6'9", so that's what we're going to go with. But
that's right.
He gets pokeaways, gets deflections. His arms look like they're down to his knees, but that really helps him defensively and just kind of being a disruptor on that end.
Eric, what do you think? Did you get a chance to check him out?
Yeah, I did watch him. He honestly, I mean, I hate to say this, like he looked like a bigger Bones to me. Like I don't know if listen.
So hold up, because this is part of what I had.
This could be a hair comp. I don't know.
It's definitely partially hair comp. I mean,
it's a partial hair comp, but he's also, not only does he have the long arms,
he gotta have a similar body? Look at the body.
Yes, he has wide shoulders, just like Bones. Bones has wide shoulders, long arms, big hands. And the longer that I watch the NBA, the more and more I'm convinced that the one thing that you can unify almost all of the best players in the NBA is that they have long arms. I don't know why this is. It just seems to be the case. The one exception being, what's our guy out of Memphis? God damn it.
Bane.
Desmond Bane.
Yeah. Desmond Bane is the one big exception to this rule. But
I hate to break it to you, D-Line. Blake Wesley, small hands.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Well, then get him out of here. What are we even talking about this guy for? No, but I
see this comment. Hold up, Eric. We see this comment. The way he moves reminds me of Bones too. And I agree. Just look at this pose, this picture here. Isn't this a very Bones-esque posture and everything? The hair is there. Like, I agree with you, and it's funny because when I was looking at some of the the Ringer, they had him comp to Bones, and I swear it is just because they really? Physically look like him. But I actually don't think their games are that. I think their games are meaningfully different.
Yeah, I can see it. But I also I was watching him. I was like, okay, because, I put together the cards. I'm like, okay, Jamal Crawford, that's what we have. And I'm like, okay.
Everybody is comped to Jamal Crawford. There's 5 players that get comped in every draft. They get comped.
There will be only one player comped to Jamal Crawford on the DNVR Nuggets draft.
But I'm saying, the longer that
and it's Blake Wesley.
The longer I watched, I was like, that's goddamn Bones Hyland, but like a bigger Bones Hyland. I was like a little taken aback by it. I wasn't ready for it.
Do you think that there's value? I'm going to answer this first. Yes, I think there is. Do you guys think there's value when two players kind of look alike but have different games?
Like it confuses the defense?
Yeah, like you get switched around and all of a sudden you're switched out onto number 3. You think it's number 8 and you're like, oh, he's the shooter. And then he just drives around.
I got to think that only works with identical twins like the Morris.
Yeah, the Morris twins, baby.
Yeah, but the games are also pretty similar. I'm telling you, these guys, you might have the like, oh, he's a shooter, play up. And it's like, it's, him. And then you got like, oh, no, he can't shoot. And you're off in his phone. Like, constantly confused. Getting back on defense, you're like, where's my man? There he is over there.
Where's my hair?
Guy.
Yeah, follow the hair. Where's the hair? Oh, God, no, different guy.
I'm just saying, man, I think it has a little value. I like this guy. So he's going to make my short list of players. Like I said this yesterday, there weren't a lot of players in this draft that I like. I was kind of looking at it. We're halfway through maybe all the players we're going to profile. And I was like, man, I think I like one of them kind of. He's on the list. He's on the list of guys. And it's because he has the requisite tools. Now, he's not a perfect like defensive stopper type, but he has some defensive upside there. And we've talked about this in the past. I think the Nuggets need to be good at defense, but short of having like great individual defensive players, they can have an identity. And one of those identities is the length, just having like a lot of length and that deceptive length. The fact that he does have that 6'9", 6'10" wingspan and he uses it. It's not just that he has it and it's a wasted talent. He actually uses it. He gets in passing lanes. He's a great free safety. He has very good instincts to use that length. He pokes the ball away a lot. You talk about a Davon Reed, Bones Hyland. Like I do see a collection of these guys that all of a sudden come together to create and help cultivate a defensive identity that's really useful. So defensively, I like him. And then the offensive game, what's not to like? He's not quite Jalen Williams, in terms of his feel for the game. He's not quite that, but he does have some really nice plays that I watch and I'm like, yeah, that's a high level play. Like you can't teach that or it takes time to develop it. And he has some of that. So I look at him and I think he can be more of a two-way type of player, not an elite offensive player, maybe not an elite shutdown defensive player, but a guy that gives you a little bit of both and probably fits into a lot of different types of offense. So to me, I watched him and I was actually really impressed with him. And he'd be a guy that's on my list of guys I would be interested in taking.
What's also notable about him is he can definitely play both backcourt positions.
Yes.
He can play on the ball and he can play off the ball. And I think that's important if you're talking about the Nuggets, because something that you love about the Nuggets backcourt as it's currently constructed, it's like you got Jamal Murray, Will Barton for now, Monte Morris, Bones Hyland. All four of those guys can play with each other, can play on and off the ball. There's so much interchangeability with all those four guys. And I think if you're adding somebody else to the mix, you probably want that guy to be able to play on and off the ball. And like Blake Wesley fits that. So if you're thinking about trading Monte Morris, and I think one of these point guards might get taken by the Nuggets if they do trade like Monte, I feel like that's a reason why they could look to take a point guard in the draft in the first round here. If Monte gets traded, I think you want to backfill that position with a guy who can play on and off the ball, just like Monte can. So I think that's also part of the appeal with Wesley.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And that's a part when we start to talk about adding specialists to the roster and into the rotation, that's one thing that you don't think about that you would miss, especially in the continuity offense. The ability for Monte to initiate the offense or Jamal or Bones, like when you don't have that, this is a guy that I don't think you lose that with. He definitely could come in, maybe even immediately, but certainly I think in short order could be a guy that could play the lead guard alongside, Bones or whatever, or off guard. So I like that a lot. And just some of his passing, man. And here's something I'm going to read from Kevin O'Connor over on the Ringer, his scouting report here that I like. Energetic defender with long arms. He's often assigned the opponent's best scorer, and he's always locked in off the ball to disrupt actions. First of all, love all of that. Love it. A locked in, like just a guy that has that's a talent. The ability to lock in is a talent. And some of this we were talking about with McGowan's or whatever, it's like he doesn't have that talent. Even at his best, he locks in for like 3 minutes. And that's a real talent. So when a guy has that, especially as a young player, I love it. And then he has this one. He's had countless games when it felt like he was the source of inspiration for the team's collective energy. When we talk about one of the existential qualities that the Nuggets are missing, that's it. I mean, we've seen that like Draymond Green is this guy, right? How many times has he been the emotional sort of fuel to the team or what have you? I'm not saying he has it to that degree. I don't know. I can't speak to, I don't have a scout. But when I read that report, I think Denver needs those types of guys. They probably need multiple of those types of guys who pick the energy up. Bones is one of those guys. So you start to put Bones and Wesley together, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, you got so much energy coming in on the bench. You're going to inject some life into this game.
You got energy. The defense is confused because they can't tell them apart. Like you got a lot of things working for you there.
And then we could call him Bones and Big Bones. I'm going to refer him only as Big Bones from this point.
I was thinking like, because you have BW and don't you have Buffalo Wild Wings? Like I think there's something there. Bones.
I think that's the greatest thing is that every time that we're evaluating a player, we're like, what? How can we make this a t-shirt?
Blake Wesley not giving
marketability very high on our draft board rankings.
I mean, are you as in on him as I am, Harrison? I mean, he's on that short list, like I said, of guys I'm pretty intrigued by this guy.
Dude, I'm kind of with you. I'm not that enthused by the crop of players like slated to go from 20 to 30 in this draft. Like, I think like compared to last year,
Bones would be the obvious pick of all the guys we've seen. And some of this is we're tainted by seeing how he plays, but even just on skill set, you look at and you're like, I definitely feel like this is a lesser draft than last year in this spot.
Yeah, like I'm just not that excited by that many guys. I mean, spoiler alert, Jalen Williams is my number one guy for the Nuggets. Like when I put out my big board next week, he's most likely going to be number one for me. He's my guy in that range. But Blake Wesley,
that's close.
Yeah. He's definitely a guy.
Okay. Wow.
There are things about Wesley that I get excited about for sure. I'm definitely more excited about him than a lot of guys we talked about.
Yeah. Biggest concern by far is the fact that he's 6'3". That's by far the biggest concern.
Yeah.
6'4", I think, actually 6'4".
Yeah, 6'4". He's 6'4". He's 2 inches taller than Bones.
He looks like he plays bigger than his size. Like just watching him, he looks bigger than 6'4", doesn't he?
He didn't strike me as small at all. He actually seemed like a big guard. Like it, and again with those arms, like he was always in passing lanes. He was always picking shots off or passes off. At least there were a lot of examples that they put in the highlight reels. I'm interested in this guy too. I think that my hunch and my theory on why we're not that excited about any of these guys is because we are in a championship window, and the thought of adding somebody that is obviously like pretty rough in that they're going this late in the draft is like not that palatable. Like the more I watch this, I'm like, I really hope we package these picks and like trade for a proven player to fill that 3 or I don't even want to trade Monte. Like my desire is that we package Barton and the 2 picks and get some sort of dynamic 3 out of the deal.
Yeah. Vogt just had a great joke. I guess I'll have to share it on the other side. He had a good joke in the chat. All right, should we move on? Oh, actually, I want to ask one thing. I think Jokic would like this guy. I don't know that he's going to play right away, but I think he has a mentality, a style of play, and a skill set that Jokic would like. The 3-point shot needs to come along for him to love, but I do think he would be a guy that Jokic would like. Like I think Jokic likes Bones. I think he would like this guy over time.
Yeah, I think so too. He can just do a lot of different things. We'll get to Ty Washington on the other side, who can also do a lot of different things, but Wesley he's not a one-dimensional player. Where like Bryce McGowan's, it's a one-dimensional guy. He's a scorer. He gets the ball, he's going to try to score. Blake Wesley, he's more of a basketball player.
Yeah. I like him. He's on my list.